Greetings builders! The Necropolis League is just a few days away and it's time for my traditional 12 League Starter Builds. As always, it will be divided in 4 parts and they will all be released before the Necropolis launch on March 29th. If you wanna try any of those, you can find links for POBs and complete guides in the video description. And if this video helps you, please leave a thumbs up to support the channel. Thank you very much and let's get into it! Let's start with the most powerful League Starter of all, that once again survived the patch notes, the Venom Gyre Deadeye with the Ranger class. Venom Gyre is a very interesting skill which fires a projectile that hits enemies and returns to you, piercing and dealing damage to everything on its path. When the projectile successfully returns to you, you can keep and stack them up to 30 times, and they will all be released at once when you use the Whirling Blades movement skill. To list the pros of this build, I wouldn't even know where to start. It comes with an amazing clear speed, boss damage and a big effective HP. Above all, it's cheap and easy to put together. It doesn't require any mandatory unique item. Now, to list the cons is the real challenge here. It's hard to find something not to like on this build. However, I would say that as most builds, this one is also vulnerable to chaos damage, unless of course you invest on chaos resistance gear. As for budget, this build is cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 90 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines. Don't forget that on PoEbuilds.net you can find a list with all the equipment that you need to buy for this build, with direct links for examples being sold by other players. For clear speed, I'll give this build 10 out of 10. The Venom Gyre projectile already has an expansive nature for the amount of time it stays dealing damage on screen. Now, with a Deadeye that grants a lot of speed and many buffs to projectiles, the result is what you're seeing on this tier 16 gameplay. The boss damage is also a 10 out of 10. You can use Venom Gyre to instantly have 50 stacked projectiles and delete bosses with an amazing shotgun effect using Whirling Blades on them. It's just unreal and I can't believe it wasn't nerfed again. For this survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build counts with over 80,000 effective HP because of high armor, high evasion, spell suppression and block chance. Next we have this amazing minion build that even got a juice buff for the Necropolis League, the Archer Skeleton's Guardian with the Templar class. I'm sure that at this point you guys already know the Mage Skeletons build. Now with the new Transfigured gems we also have the Archer Skeletons. They are super fast, strong and even got an amazing buff for this new league. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how balanced it is. Unlike the Mage Skeletons, this build has a much smoother clear speed and can do even more damage to bosses. This build also is not complicated to put together, we only need one mandatory unique item that is pretty cheap. Above all, as a Guardian, we still have 3 damage auras for free and a minion that takes 20% of the damage for us. Now, to list the cons, I'll start saying that even though this build is still very tanky and safe, it's not as tanky as the Mage Skeleton staff version because it has less block chance. But don't worry, if you mind your position, it will be hard for you to die. As for budget, this build is pretty cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 80 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, I recommend investing around 150 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines, but you can totally do it with less. You only need one mandatory unique item for this build, the Lionized Vision armor that already grants the pierce support and allows us to have one more support gem for our skeletons. For clear speed, I'll give it 9 out of 10. We have many archer skeletons firing many arrows with high attack speed, and unlike the Mage Skeletons version that uses the spell Echo, here we can easily cast 4 skeletons at a time in different locations and increase a lot their angle of destruction. The boss damage is amazing, deserves 9 out of 10. As you can see on the gameplay, this build was capable of destroying big bosses in just a few seconds even before the recent buffs. For this survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. As a minion build, you stay far from danger while they tank and kill everything for you. It's a very safe playstyle. But this build also counts with over 90,000 effective HP because of high armor, block chance and a minion that takes 20% of the damage for you. I only took 1 point out because since we're not using the staff like the Mage Skeletons version, we end up with less block chance and effective HP. Finally, we have my favorite starter build of all time, The Arc Totem's Hierophant, also with the Templar class. On this build we use many totems that cast the Arc skill for a fast and safe clear speed. Listing the pros of this build, I would start with how cheap and easy it is to complete your Atlas using this building. With almost no investment, you have a powerful, safe and fast character that will be the perfect currency farmer for this and future builds. Now to list the cons, this build doesn't have access to evasion or spell suppression, but don't worry, Totem builds are very safe to play. Another issue is that some players might find this gameplay to be a little tedious and too easy, but as you know, this is just a matter of taste. As for budget, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 35 chaos. To comfort but advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 90 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 3 divines, but you can totally do it with less. This build needs 3 mandatory unique items, but they are normally very cheap and easy to get. The first one is the Soul Mantle Armor, that causes Socket Gems to be supported by a level 20 spell totem. This grants us an extra support skill gem. We also need a Kikazaru Ring to counter the effect of curses. This is because a side effect of Soul Mantle that will apply a random curse on you whenever a totem dies. Finally, we also need the Self-Flagellation Jewel that grants up to 20% increased damage for each curse on you. Thanks to Soul Mantle, you'll be always with around 9 curses, resulting on 180% increased damage. For clear speed, this build gets 9 out of 10. Arc is an awesome skill that chains through many enemies and easily clear big packs. This build counts with 4 totems casting this amazing skill. The boss damage deserves 9 out of 10. With the right debuffs and all 4 totems summoned, this build can take even big bosses down without any issue. For the survivability, I would also give it 9 out of 10. As a totem build, you'll always be far from action while your totems do all the work. So, if you know how to mind your position, you can easily complete high tier maps with low grade gear. Above all, this build still counts with high armor and high block chance. And that's it for today, guys! Have you already chosen your favorite starter build for the Necropolis League? Please don't forget to tell me in the comments and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. I wish you guys an amazing day, and don't forget to keep building!